How's it, everybody? How's it, everybody? And welcome to the Joystick Show. You know, it's your 3 now plus 1 friends coming here to chat about things we've watched, read, and or played. It's our shtick. We're gonna stick it to you. And you know what we're gonna talk about next is, please like and subscribe. Follow on whatever platform you like to do podcasts. And now to the introductions. I'm Drake. That's Thomas.
What up, everybody?
That's Scott.
How's it?
And that beautiful man in the beard from the Geek Freaks Network, that is a Frank.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah.
Above and beyond. You guys don't need all that.
And, yeah, we're going to talk about some stuff. Thomas, will you give us the index of today's novel?
Sure. I'm going to pass it to Scott.
All right. Well, I'm still ready for this.
I just wanted to see what...
He was ready for it. He was ready.
Yeah. So on the plan here, we got news.
Oh, news.
Yeah.
News.
We're starting with some news here, okay? Looks like we have some shows being renewed for another season. Talking Good Omens,
Ooh.
Gen V, and the One Piece.
Uno pieces.
How do you guys feel about that?
That's good. Let's just go through all of it first. Let's just say all the news and then we'll get into the first thing.
Yeah. Leave it.
Leaving it. Moving on. We're gonna
Moving on.
We got some shows being renewed. We got some games coming out. We got some movies coming out, and then we have reviews for you for Spider-Man 2, Gen V Ep.6, and Loki Episode 3.
Three.
Right on.
Three.
Well done. Right on. Okay, so how do we feel about all these renewed?
Oh, love it.
Snap.
But for real, I'm super excited. We got to review Good Omens on Challenge Accepted, and it was such a delight. I'm so happy that Frank introduced me to the show. I've been a fan of David Tennant inadvertently. I didn't even realize it was him for a while. And was it Michael Sheen, I think is the other guy? He's so talented. This show's fantastic. Super excited about it. And Gen V and One Piece for me just seems obvious. Because these shows are just... I mean, One Piece killed it. Best adapted live action anime ever. And then Gen V has just been stellar all the way through. So I'm ecstatic. What about you guys?
On the
Same
Good
here,
Omens
man.
front, I will say real quick, they lost their showrunner, though. So it's renewed
shit.
minus showrunner.
No, let's go.
Neil Gaiman is
watch
still
it,
going to be
people.
like... It sounds like Neil Gaiman is still going to be having his hands on it. It's going to be about... The third season is going to be about his unfinished sequel to the book. So... It's kind of material that's never been seen before, which will be nice.
Ooh.
But yeah, without showrunner, I'm hoping it still has that same vibe. It might not.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel like they probably have learned enough from the first 2 seasons, and then those guys are such professionals. Like whatever they do, whatever they give me between those 2 characters, I'm all in. Yeah, have you guys watched it, Drake Scott?
I saw season 1.
Yeah.
Nice. What'd you think?
I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
season-
I've been meaning to get to season 2, but procrastination.
Too much
wonder
stuff
if
to
I-
watch.
Too much right now.
Too. It's definitely a bingeable thing. Like the way that they portray the story. Obviously, there's already the IP is already out. You can read it. But the way that the cinematics kind of push through, you kind of want more. Like, what more are they gonna do in these scenes? And also, their chemistry is so good. And I've seen Michael Sheen in he plays a. He was in Twilight? Oh, yeah, he was in Twilight.
Yeah,
But even
I know
after
way
that...
too much about Twilight.
Yeah, I know. Twilight's awesome.
Time of the year.
He was in a show where he played a serial killer, and his son is now a investigator for serial killers. And he's like what is those things? Like a mentalist. He's really good in that too. It's just good to see good actors doing good acting. You know?
Definitely. Yeah, and those guys are putting on a masterclass. Yeah, Frank.
Well, they have a show to go there that they started in the pandemic. It's still going. I think it's called Scripted. Now I can't. I'm blanking on it. But anyways,
Unscripted?
something like that. Yeah. And what I love is they constantly are going back and forth with the whole thing where like David Tennant's like, well, I was in Twilight, and then the other one, or no, I'm sorry, Michael Sheen says that, and David Tennant's like, yeah, but I was in Harry Potter, and he was like, if you blink, you missed him. He's in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
he's one of Voldemort's dudes, but I love how they just are constantly like undercutting each other. Then he's like, well, it's Doctor Who, and so it's just great. But yeah, they're really good chemistry, and they do work together still to this day on other stuff. So it's cool to kind of keep up on them if you want to. TikTok, follow them on TikTok, guys. It's worth
Oh,
it.
they have their
I
own
know.
TikTok?
Yeah.
Dang.
Matter
it's
of fact,
good.
if I'm not mistaken, this might be out of line. I believe David Tennant is married to Michael Sheen's ex-wife. That's how close they are. So
Interesting.
What?
So those Thanksgivings are real weird.
yeah, like
For real.
they're like, so Michael Sheen's here we go. Or David Tennant's stepson is the asshole kid from House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
The one
Yeah.
that's, he's just one of the douches. Anyways, and I believe that's Michael Sheen's real kid. So
Whoa.
there you go.
What? That's too close. And that means they're also friends with Matt Smith. So it's all
And they're
connected.
best bros.
Hell yeah.
Ah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and we don't need Matt Smith dancing anymore, by the way, guys. If you guys want to, oh Jesus Christ, that was so rough.
I mean, in the right context, I'll take it. Him as Damon doing it after winning a battle, I'm on board with that.
They should add that to the show. That's a great idea.
They might have to. Speaking about good chemistry, I loved the One Piece show. I thought the casting was perfectly done, spot on. Yeah, how do you guys feel about One Piece Gen V getting renewed?
Yeah, like
I'm-
you said, man. Oh.
No, Scott, I want to hear your, just because you've read all the things, you've watched all the things. I only started reading because of your recommendation through the animes, and that's definitely caught me up to a certain place. But tell me about it.
Oh, you've been reading the manga for One Piece?
Yeah, the manga.
Wow. You manga
Get through it quicker
animal.
too.
It's hard though, because I want a flip book version like we were talking about earlier. I'd like for the pictures to be moving versus, But go ahead,
It's
Scott.
called
on
an
that note,
anime.
you can
Oh, that's
jump to
true. Yeah.
that Episode of the anime and be like, let me watch that fight. And we can jump back and forth and like get through it quicker. But yeah, like you said, no brainer. I'm glad One Piece is getting another season. Maybe it'll bring in more people who didn't jump on already. I just want the fan base to grow and grow. It's such an awesome IP. And then Gen V, yeah, I'm really loving it. More than I thought I would, but it's freaking great. So I'm glad there's more to be had with the boys universe. So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's where I stand.
Man, they're killing it. All right, moving on. We got another show on Amazon called Fallout, based off a video game, and the series is coming next year, April 12th, 2024. Have you guys played the game?
A little.
All of
Anybody? You did?
Mhm.
Frank? What did you
I'm a
think?
big
You like
Bethesda
it?
fan, obviously. Starfield, no life in.
Duh.
And
dang.
fantastic storyline. And it's all post-apocalyptic, but the best part about it is the fact that there's this nuclear war going. Matter of fact, what is today? It was yesterday was Fallout Day, so that kind of tells you. Anyways, and that was the
morbid.
initiation of the war. But yeah, so the whole thing is that like it was the 50s when we started like embracing nuclear power. So everything you see is post-apocalyptic / futuristic 50s, like Rocket Man kind of thing. And I just dig that vibe. And this is going to be in Los Angeles, the series. So if you look at the past games like New Vegas, whatever, they take the local area and they make factions that make sense in that area. Famously, New Vegas had the Kings, which were a bunch of Elvis impersonators made a faction. So I'm looking forward to seeing like the Hollywood elites be a faction, whatever else, like, whatever stereotypical LA stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe
They're like
maybe
the
we'll be able to go
Lakers
through
are a
Disneyland.
faction.
The West
and it's,
Hollywood
like, full of
gays.
traps. It'll be something fun like
traps.
that. Yeah, so
Love it.
yeah.
Drake loves his traps.
Oh yeah.
R// Let's do it.
Look
That's
up on
pretty
Dice
awesome.
or
Gonna be a
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
that's
Do we
awesome.
know who's directing it? Is that already out and about?
I don't know if they've confirmed directors or writers.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything about that.
Dang.
I just saw that, this game has such a crazy loyal following to it.
Yeah. If
Again,
it does
I haven't
well,
played
will
it.
Starfield get one? Will Skyrim get one? That'd be great.
Probably, man. I mean, anything's possible, especially the way that video game adaptions have been going.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Like this year has been the best year ever for video game adaptions. Whether it's like Mario, The Last of Us, like all of this stuff seems to be working really, really well. So I'm super on board with it. Is there anything else I'm missing? There was like another
Real
thing,
quick,
right?
the director, the one that's running anything, is going to be Athena Wickham, best known for Westworld. So
Oh,
okay.
Revolution, which is a really good show that most people don't remember, and Fringe, which is a really good show as well. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Wow.
Do you think that those shows kind of match what you've gotten from Fallout in the
Westworld.
games?
Westworld,
Or
for
Westworld?
sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
cool. That was
There's
awesome.
a lot of robotics in Fallout. Like because it was again where it's like we just embraced nuclear power, so it's like a 1950s Jetsons robot butler that was in everybody's homes, and some of them are now trying to murder you. So it's fun.
Oh,
The
okay.
robot aid for the future. Now cooking
That-
your pies.
If they need a voice
Shepherd
actor, I'm
pies.
signing you up today.
Yeah, you got it, Tom.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like the Kalons from the thing that what are
Doctor
the
Who?
Kalons? Yeah, no. The thing that Seth MacFarlane did.
Orville?
Yeah, Orville. Yeah, the Kalons
Oh,
had their
Kalons.
own story. Yeah.
Come on,
Yeah,
Frank, you missed
similar.
an Orville reference?
Hey.
Literally, we put out a challenge accepted. It was about the Kalon invasion episode.
Oh.
It's so good. God, I love that episode.
Yeah, go back and listen to that episode. Challenge accepted.
Link in the bio.
Yeah, link in the bio for sure. All right, another thing. Oh, this is based off a video game as well. This Friday, the 27th, we are getting Five Nights at Freddy. It's
Hot.
simultaneously dropping in theaters and on Peacock, I want to say. Are you guys looking forward to it? Are you going to watch it? Because I'm pretty excited. It looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Especially
Is
if
it?
it's on Peacock. I don't know if I'm gonna go.
What was the one with Nick Cage? He did a similar.
Willy's Wonderland. That's the one.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
talking about. It seems like it's like that.
Yeah.
But at higher budget.
Yeah, I mean they got the Josh from friggin' a lot of different movies actually. He was in Kicking and Screaming, the soccer.
That's
Yes.
a surprisingly good movie. Side topic, kicking and screaming. I really like
Yeah,
that
it's
movie.
Yeah.
Talking to Juicebox guy.
Okay, most
This one's
famously...
got Peter. This one's got
Yes,
Peter from
thank
Hunger
you.
Games. Is the main
Yeah,
character
yeah.
for Five Nights at Freddy.
Thank
I
you.
think-
I was
I
going
mean,
to go
you
with the
just
most
can't-
famous one.
Cool,
Yeah.
guys.
You really can't botch this though. Like all you got to do is just like have the big animatronics Chuck E. Cheese guys kill things. Hopefully they don't try to like because like the game doesn't have a story, right? You're a security guard's got to stay overnight with things coming to kill you. That's the whole story. So hopefully they don't botch it with trying to like make it too convoluted. We talked about this in the past on the other things, but like the best thing about Halloween, Mike Myers wants to stab everybody in this house and just let him do that. So hopefully they do the same thing here.
Right. Keep it simple. Like, don't try to overcomplicate it with plot and character development and shit like that.
Right.
Do you want to hear something super Coloradan?
Yeah.
In December 14th, 1993, there was a Chuck E. Cheese into which an individual murdered like 4 people in there.
How?
It's the individual killed 4 employees at an Aurora Chuck E. Cheese. I live close to it, and they clean while they were cleaning up the restaurant after hours. I believe I this may have been wrong, but I think the Five Nights at Freddy's was based off of a similar happenstance.
Was this guy like in his costume?
No, I'm pretty sure he was just mad because he worked at a Chuck E. Cheese and he was like, I don't like all of you people, and then he murdered them. Yeah, that was a really bright topic.
Keep it light, Drake. Keep it light. God damn it.
Oh, sorry. I mean,
Colorado story.
it's
Jay.
still open, so that's light.
I'm waiting for the Colorado part of it exactly. I'm like,
Oh.
hi, what's the whole thing?
Well, the Colorado thing is that, there's just so much shootings that happen. It's just the Colorado way pretty much already.
But that
Drake,
nature,
keep it
though,
light.
right?
Yeah, sorry.
And that
Yeah.
was your slice of Colorado history. By
Heyo!
That's the joy of joystick. There we go.
Hey!
Hey, we can laugh at anything. All right, we got some reviews now. Let's get into the reviews because I think this is on everybody's top of mind. If you've played it at all, I mean, you can't even escape it on social media right now. Like everybody's talking about it, and that is Spider-Man 2. It just dropped last week for PlayStation, and I'm about 50% in. Scott, how far are you in?
Maybe like 15% in.
Okay,
Wow.
so Scott's towards the beginning, I'm towards the middle, and Frank has just finished it. Drake, did you get it?
I did not get it yet.
Okay, Drake didn't get it yet. All right, so let's talk about it, man, because God, this game is so freaking good, and we talked about it on Geek Freaks, and this is the most fun out of any game I've played all year. I'm madly addicted to it. I probably need to go to some type of addiction rehab facility because I'm not getting nearly enough sleep anymore. It just does everything so well. Like characters, action, plot. I mean, just all of it's so good.
Pacing,
What's some of the things that stand out to you guys about this game?
I'd say, since you guys are probably gonna go more detail, you guys got a lot further than I have. I say the flow of this game is like awesome. Being able to traverse, do exactly what you want to do, not be hung up by like hitting a building or whatnot. Like no matter what you're doing, you're coming off cool as Spider-Man. And I think that was always a big thing for me. If I pick up a Spider-Man game, if I'm not swinging the way I want to swing, that's gonna determine how much fun I'm gonna get out of this game. This game is like nailed that. They've added other things. I'm sure you guys have seen it, like the gliding aspect. They've got like these wind tunnels all around the city that help you zip around and stuff. And like the way you can go from gliding to swinging, back to gliding, doing tricks and everything, it's like so smooth. And then you can dive bomb onto people and like attack them when you're like going to a fight. Like everything runs so smooth. It's like, I think that's where a lot of the addicting aspect comes in. Because I can't like put it down, like, and then if I for whatever reason die, like you load right back up. It's like this drug that's like, oh no, we got you, and you're like right back in it. It's so good.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit where, you could be 100 meters away from the main story, but then a crime pops up like 500 meters away, and I'm like, I gotta go take care of that crime.
I'm
like,
zipping back there for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna go backwards to like finish this crime so that I can eventually get back to the main story. And that's how addicting the traversal is and the action and everything. What do you think about it, Frank?
Yeah, traversal is key in this game. And again, the key with the gliding is the fact that it feels so natural, something I didn't expect to happen. Like these wind tunnels that Scott's talking about, like when you hear that, you're like, oh, that's a shame. That kind of breaks up the big city. No, first off, there's like green rings that'll pop up if you're in the wind tunnel. So if you're purposely using them. And otherwise, it looks like a breeze, you could tell where it's at, but nothing makes you feel like you're out of the environment. I love that. And then one of the key things with open world games or with a lot of video games is that you feel like a badass. And I think when you're swinging around the city, you're like purposely wanting to try to like land certain ways or take off certain ways just to like, oh, I'm extra cool. Like that's awesome that it makes you want to do that. And fast travel's for the birds. Nobody fast travels. Don't fast travel.
Yeah, it's just there's just no need unless you've been 200 hours into the game or something.
Wow.
Because I forgot how many hours I've got in the game, but if even 50% there, I've unlocked fast travel everywhere. I'm like, I'm never using this. I'm going to swing or glide everywhere, and it's just so well done. And
Do tricks play a main factor like it did in the first game? So are you trying to purposely like Tony Hawk the situation? Because it seems as if traversal and moving, as you guys have said, is like a key not only cool factor, but like kind of what's keeping you in the game. I'm thinking, is it definitely Game of the Year award vibes?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ooh,
Those are like
sure.
two different questions, but
Answer both.
I think in the first your first question, I think it links to like what Frank was saying. Like the tricks are there to make you feel like a badass. You get like one or two experience points, but that's not why you do them. You're like, I want to do like side flips, back flips, and a front flip before I swing again, and like just miss some cars and then come back up and like glide and do some more tricks. Like you just feel cool. It's all about like style. Like it's awesome.
That being said, if you like perfectly land on a building, you press X the right time, like it looks really cool because it makes you do like this cool flip and stuff, but it also increases your momentum. So a lot of things you're trying to do to keep, so like when you're dive bombing, you're building momentum up so that your swings look tight. And then just a side thing real quick, when they go close to the ground, they change the audio. So like they do it in the original one too, but as you get close to the ground, everything gets louder. You start to hear the cars more, and then you go back up. I was like, oh, that's just well designed.
The little things, it's just amazing.
Exactly. And we talked about this again on Geek Freaks, but it was what they've done with the PlayStation controller is the best use of that controller I've seen.
What do you mean?
There's like certain areas where, excuse me, you're kind of like tracking down a venom-ish creature or whatever. And then depending on if you turn a corner, that venom sound will pop up more. There is times where you have to like hold open a door or something. And depending on the pressure sensitivity of the triggers, it'll either rumble harder or softer. And you'll know you're getting it because the rumble will go down. Just the way they use the sounds in it too. Everything in the controller is used incredibly well and unique. It's just insanely well done. I don't know how they thought about some of these things, right? Like, I don't know.
Phone calls come through the controller as well, so it feels more like of a mobile on me thing.
Like
because the phone calls, I think, come through. Yeah, so they come through both the TV and the speakerphone on the actual controller. and when you're tiptoeing around, you could feel each of your steps through each of the triggers.
What
So when you're walking, but like there's not a lot. There are a few missions where you're having to be sneaky, or you are hearing limited, which is a side mission, where that's so much more impactful and it adds to the narrative. It actually makes you feel more suspenseful and stuff like that. It's just a small little thing they did.
Jeez.
Yes. There's a part where, and I think we're in the narrative portion,
Yeah.
but there's a part where you're kind of trying to track down Lizard as Miles, and there's legit scary moments in there where you're turning blind corners and you don't really know Lizard's around there somewhere and he's like taking out guys, and every part of it it's just really suspenseful because you have to open these doors blind. And man, just from that aspect. Okay, let me start with this. From the narrative perspective, this is one of the best openings to any Spider-Man property I've ever seen. And I'm going to repeat this again. I've said this other places, but one of my favorite, the top 3 most incredible cinematic moments for me were the first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, then No Way Home when all the portals open, or when all 3 Spider-Man jump into the battle. And then number 3 would have to be the opening to this game. I haven't gotten to the end of it yet, but the opening to this game where you jump in to fight Sandman, you and Miles, and they're both being used and helping each other out, and you're swapping between the characters. God, it's so fucking good. It is so good. It is insane. I was just like, my mouth was on the ground the whole first 20 minutes I was playing this game. It's just so incredible.
That leans into the cinematic aspect of the game too. The game feels like a movie. There are times when it knows that the action is just too intense for you to actually be a participant in it. So it's stopping to like you'll press this button at this time to do a thing that really doesn't matter. But you're like, I have to absorb this real quick. I can't actually be playing this because it's too important for me to watch this. The Lizard scenes are really good ones. There is a moment, I don't want to spoil anything, when Peter Parker joins you, when you're Miles Morales and Peter Parker joins you, and that shot's just amazing. They make sure to change the color in the room. They make sure to change the audio in the room so that you realize what's going on. And it's just like the design on this is, I mean, honestly, MCU needs to take some notes, if I'm being honest, on a couple of these things.
100%. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, man, are we ever going to get an MCU or live action Spider-Man that's going to be close to this? And I truly think the closest thing we ever got was Spider-Man No Way Home. But at the same time, I don't even know if No Way Home could hit the level of suspense and action and everything we get in this game, right?
I want to add to that real quick. I think the reason that it can't is because No Way Home, while I loved it, like all that stuff's all nostalgia stuff. This is an original story. They're changing characters. Like the lore of these characters is all different, kind of. And for some reason, I'm like fully on board with it. At first, I was like, I don't know if you're going to, but no, I don't care anymore. Venom's this way, symbiote's that way. I don't care. And it just makes so much sense. And it's like it's the multiverse, right? You expect Loki to show up or something, but it's perfect. And it doesn't need to be this way like we would do with the MCU a lot. I think a lot of people complain when something's not 100% accurate in MCU. And it's like, get off it,
What I do like, though, is like, I think it works as well in the game because all these stories get room to breathe. Like the game's long. It doesn't feel long, but you're like enjoying the story in a longer sort of length. And you're not worried about, if it was like in a series, they kind of have to like have a beginning, an arc, and they got to cap the episode and make it leave on a cliffhanger or whatever. Like none of that in this game. It's just like one long flowing story. So I think that works in its favor too. I don't know if they can do something like this in a movie format, but
no, you're so right. There's a part where as Miles, you just kind of have to help out a local museum. And the stories that they put in that alone, and that's not even anywhere close to the main story, but it's purely just to develop Miles as a character, and you get to see who he is as Spider-Man and I guess who he is just as a person. And God, man, it is just so good. Even that was so cool because they really do a good job of distinguishing these two Spider-Men, and they have different abilities. They come from different worlds, yet they care about the same things. Yet they're just as they're both good at their core, And God, I just love the dynamic that they've put in this game because they each get their own individual stories, and yet when they connect, it just makes the overall story even better. It's insanely good. Just love it, man.
Yeah.
Wow, nothing bad to say about it, huh?
I honestly can't think of
gripe?
anything.
Wow.
I can't think of one critique.
No, yeah,
I'm not even gonna lie.
It's just good.
Yeah.
And I just
Wow.
beat it. Like I played the story completely through, and they stuck the landing and all that kind of stuff. All the shit you'd expect them to mess up on, they did not do. So yeah.
Oh, I think the
Replay. Oh, sorry. Go.
No,
No,
so the
go.
only downside of this game is like your controller ends up dying and you gotta switch it out.
Oh.
100%. Oh, I like legit. The reason I stopped playing is because that damn controller is a quitter on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last thing I want to touch on is I don't know if we're gonna get anywhere close to as good of a Craven as we got in this game.
Oh.
No.
The Craven that this game develops and the backstory and how scary he is. Like, as much as I like Aaron Taylor Johnson, I don't think there's any way that Sony's gonna do it. Like
I love his motivation too. That's my favorite part. Is his motivation.
I don't know if I've gotten to that part yet.
You probably have. You just have to pay attention to it. It's not told to you.
Okay.
You have to pay attention to what's going on around him.
Okay. All
It's
right.
not ice cream, is it?
Basically, Frank just called me
He
stupid.
loves strawberry
Yeah,
ice
it's
cream,
ice
and he's
cream.
like,
Oh,
"Where
dang.
the hell is it at? They don't have
I
it so
get
much.
it.
I need it."
I get
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
I get it.
Like, capture
There
and
you
kill
go.
everyone, and then I can do the strawberry ice cream.
All for myself.
Yeah, no, but even if the movie's not as good, I'm like getting to the point where like these games, it's almost like having a good new show, good new movie. Like the way it's told, like I'm kind of happy we're getting it this way. If the movie doesn't live up to it, then at least we got it this way. It's I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
Very true.
cinematic enough.
Oh my God, yeah. I know, it's crazy. I honestly would go back on Twitch and just watch people play from start to the end after it's done because it's just incredible. It's been awesome. Drake, does this make you want to?
Buy the game? Yeah.
Yes.
Makes me want to buy the game. It makes me, because I enjoyed Spider-Man, the original, but by the way that you're explaining this, no downsides, better, like how you explained the newest Star Wars game, as it just took what it was and made it better, like tenfold, and obviously graphics are going to be better. Obviously they're using the technology a lot better, so why not? You know what I mean? The only thing that's holding you back is time.
Yeah. And as
huge
much
too.
as I like Jedi Fallen Order or Survivor, it wasn't as smooth as this. Like,
Word?
this is just next level,
Dang.
just perfection.
A side thing too, Marvel Comics before they used to make comic books for the first game, so I'm hoping they make comic books for this game too,
Oh,
because
okay.
then that's gonna be worth picking up. Yeah,
Yeah, I think they did that for Miles, no? Didn't they do like a short run of like 4 issues or something?
probably. I know that they did one for regular Spider-Man though, and it was like his own universe. They give him his own universe and everything.
Yeah.
If there was an ultimate bundle that was really expensive, but it gave you the comic book exclusively, obviously you would get it.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was like
I
this
prefer.
$200
I prefer. Yeah, I
package.
prefer this origin story, the story of these characters, than the real one. That's what I'm saying. Like that's that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's been incredible. I don't know. I could talk all day about how this game is fantastic. Yeah, I wonder maybe we'll have more to say about it when we finish it, but again, this is a top 3 Spider-Man experience for me, and I've been watching the watching the cartoon since the 90s, and I still think this is one of the best done Spider-Man things ever. Yep. All right, let's move on to the next show, which is Gen V. Maybe Drake will mute, maybe not. I'm just kidding.
Fine.
But anyways, we got Gen V episode 6. Were you guys able to watch it?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay. No worries.
Oh, you haven't watched it yet?
Not yet, but get into it. I don't mind spoilers. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
Shoot, I watched. It's been a little bit of time. Can you help me
Okay,
recap
so
it?
yeah.
There's like certain scenes I remember.
So this basically the team wakes up and they realize this is right after Kate has told everybody that she was the one that was brainwashing them. She then restores all of their memories, and then next thing they know, they're kind of all a little hazy, like in this weird place. They don't remember how they get there, and it's pretty much just a backstory episode for Kate. You get to dive into her life, you get to dive into her trauma, and by that you also kind of go into everybody else's hardest moments or biggest moments of trauma, I guess. And this episode to me felt the most like an X-Men comic. It really felt like you were in the mind of Jean Grey or Scarlet Witch, and that she had trapped all of her friends in her mind, and that if she dies in it, they all die, or if they die in the dreams, they all die. And I loved it, and I thought it was really, really well done. There was a lot of heavy stakes, but just really good backstory being established in it.
Yeah.
And yeah, anytime you get to bring back old characters, which they brought in Soldier Boy, Jensen Ackles, I was like, oh man, this is sick. But
Yeah, it wasn't in the way I thought it was gonna be when
me
I
too.
saw him, but I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, totally. It was a little odd how they chose it, but then again, it's the boys, so
Yeah.
shit like this happens where it's her imaginary boyfriend growing up that she used to like hump her pillow to, I guess. That's the reason
Yeah.
why he pops up in this episode. And yeah, I loved it. It really, to me, felt like a comic book.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah, well said. It did remind me of. There were moments I'm like, oh, it's kind of like Inception. It's kind of like that movie, The Cell. Do you remember that movie with J-Lo, where she goes
Yeah.
into the mind of us, that psycho, and like, where they have to kind of like that. But I mean, I guess more like the X-Men would be more accurate because they are like that. But with the stakes, they could die if she decides to die. And there's certain points in this where she's like, it's up in the air where they're like, I don't know if we're gonna get out of this. But it was really cool going through their moments of tragedy. They all get to kind of experience it, not just from them telling each other, but they got to like kind of witness it firsthand, and like seeing their memories like haunt them. Pretty much blame them for what's happening in every scenario.
Yeah, we
You
get to
do
see
feel bad for Kate too.
right,
that
but we get
sense,
to
like
see
they-
Marie. Sorry, kill
Oh, yeah,
her
no, no.
parents. We get to see Jordan, how Jordan gets chose by Brinkoff to become the TA. All these moments where they could have, I guess, been heroes, but then they chose kind of the easy way or the better way for themselves, or just like their worst moment, I guess, too.
Yeah.
Like
Or
Marie.
Andre.
So.
Yeah, Andre's like cheating with Kate before Golden.
Oh,
Boy.
that's what I forgot what
then
Andres
dies.
was. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. And that makes
But,
it so much more clear when you see them hooking up right after Golden Boy dies.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because then they've been doing it, right? So, yeah, you do feel more for Kate. I didn't, she kind of tells you her backstory, but you don't know to the extent of her, like literally being locked in a room since like 9, with like a big vault door, and then like, the college
Being
coming
in
in
the-
and just taking her out.
Yeah.
Like the parents don't want anything to do with her since that incident, and you kind of realize like she puts on a good front. She's kind of fucked up in the beginning, but like you don't know
how
to what
much.
extent, and you're like,
Yeah.
holy, this. I'm surprised she's like keeping it together as much as she does, because holy crap, yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was a really messed up episode, but at the same time, like it makes everybody else's backstory and stuff so much more understandable, and it kind of rewrites in the way you look at the first couple episodes. Like if you went back and watched, episodes 1 through 3 now, it completely changes how you look at Kate or how you look at Jordan. Because at first you're like, Jordan's just a dick. Like why wouldn't they let Marie into the class?
Yeah.
She deserves to be there. And it's just really weird. Yeah, or I guess it's amazing when you get good writing, it does that. It like makes you look at past things completely differently. I think it was, it's been such a good, this show, man. I mean, I feel like I've been overly cuckish to everything tonight, but like everything's been so damn good lately, at least as far as this week. There's not a lot going on, but I feel like Gen V week after week just continues to deliver, and it just gives you like an adult / harsh look at a superhero world, and like what it would look like with corporations in charge of
Right.
everything. Yeah.
Oh, and
You
there's another
feel
part
like that episode was needed? Could we have gotten those revelations naturally through the rest of the story? Did we have to put the brakes on to tell the backstories to everybody?
It's hard to say right now, but I think it will become needed, because what it does is it not only shows we all know about their hard trauma and everything, because we get to
Right.
hear about it a little bit and we see Marie's, but it also lets everybody else in the group see everybody else's trauma and worst moments. So I
Okay.
think that's the part where it's like now they're even tighter. They've been
Yeah, all
going
the
through all
cards
these
on the
different
table.
things. Yeah, like they all got their mind erased. They all found out like Golden Boy, was being manipulated by the school, and they're learning all these things together. This was a moment where, rather than them, they all got to experience each other's worst moment in a way. And I think that is going to make this team so much closer in the future.
Yeah.
So
what do you think?
narratively, it made sense that they shared that experience with each other. Just because I'm saying, as an audience member, would have been more efficient for them to tell us, like for us to find out that those two were cheating beforehand with, before Golden Boy died. Like
Yeah.
as things are going on, like that came up, like, I was pregnant beforehand, that kind of thing
I see
Right.
what
would
you're
have
saying.
maybe been a little easier.
But I think the fact that they were all kind of like there witnessing it live almost for each other
And calling
up
each
until
other
this-
out while they're
yeah.
watching
Up
it.
until
Like,
this
you
point,
did
there was
what?
always like a let's team up almost kind of thing, and then there's always like, well, I don't want to fucking. But now they're like you're saying they kind of like are forced to be invested now. Like they're closer than normal people could be just by telling each other secrets. They like got to see each other's secrets. So like whether they like it or not, they're gonna be heading in the same direction now. And then
Yeah.
Emma's bringing Sam along, like that brought her memory back and all that stuff too. So at some point she needed to get her. I think that also that revelation of Kate doing that needed to shine more light on like the whole Sam Golden Boy situation, and then what Kate's been doing this for like more people, and like maybe it has more to do with like all the people doing testing on underneath and all that crap. But yeah, I mean I like the way they did it. Maybe they could have done it different, but I felt like it was a strong choice.
Yeah, I agree. I just love it because it felt like the layers are slowly getting peeled back every episode. And for the longest time, you're like, is the school messing around? Is it the dean? Is it another student that's fucking with them? Is it Vought? But like slowly things are getting peeled back. And this is one of them where it's peeled, the layers peeled back that, what is his name? Andre and Kate were together the whole time. And that was something that caught me completely off guard. Just like at the end of episode 5 where Kate was the one that was mind erasing them, not Rufy or Rufus, who they all were blaming it on. I mean, his name is pretty much an allegory for Rufy, so whatever.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? So, yeah, God, I just loved it. It just felt so much like I was, again, like in an X-Men comic where, you get to be in the mind of one of these characters, or the character traps all these other characters in their brain and they have to reach them in order for them to all get out alive. Like, just, that stuff to me is so comic booky, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe nostalgic for that type of writing or something. It's good.
I like how Gen V in general, or I guess you should say the boys in general, kind of really bring that famous Spider-Man quote into reality, which is, with great power comes great responsibility. Because looking at it from the point of view of like how we're now seeing the school version of it and like the corporate version of it, and both of these entities have such different but also very similar means of like trying to push the envelope as it pertains to not only controlling and maintaining this power, but making it so that they can continuously control and maintain that power. It's very interesting viewership.
Oh, speaking of that, we got a little more on that as well in this episode.
Get into it.
They went a little further on with the that cure / whatever controlling of the supers.
Yeah,
thing
quote
that
unquote
they're trying to do.
cure, but it's more
Yeah.
of a virus than anything.
COVID.
Yeah. No, but definitely it is. Yeah, sorry. I didn't know if you had more to say on that, Scott, but it is.
No, that's it.
Yeah, this way that we could possibly see them stopping Supes from now on. And
Okay.
this is kind of the whole point of the woods underneath the school. And it's something we've thought about forever. It's like, how is Butcher and the boys actually going to stop Homelander? He's immortal. Like, they finally got some power-ups last season, but they weren't strong enough to still take down Homelander. It just seems impossible. But this kind of opens the door to things completely being washed away and kind of rewritten from the time of Supes. So, yeah, it's interesting
more
that they're...
mutants.
What's that?
No more mutant situation. That's what they need right there.
Yeah.
Just totally wipe it off. My whole thing is like Drake, you were saying how there's these controls. They were working though. That's the problem, right? With Vought,
Yeah.
I mean, as terrible as it is, it's working. Everybody thinks they're safe, and that's the important part. And with these kids, I kind of was hoping to get a little bit of like, what happens when you show freedom to a demigod? What do they do with it? We saw it happen with Homelander. We see how Homelander is now that he got rid of his handler, now that he's pushing that envelope and he's starting to go to the extreme. And that's the part that we're scared of, not the super strength. It's the fact that he doesn't have control anymore, or a controller. And so I was hoping Gen V would give us a moment of that. Like teenagers, let's be honest, are the worst sometimes. And so if you give them superpowers, we're like, oh shit, I want to see that.
Right.
Yeah, I think they've done a good job of sprinkling that in through the season, because you see the debauchery that goes on. I mean, like, everybody's banging everybody. Like the RA who's invisible, he's like, sometimes I hide out in the girls' bathroom and jerk off. Sometimes I hide out in the boys' bathroom, jerk off. It's like, just depends on what you're feeling, like. So like it shows that there is a lot of depravity, however you pronounce that. But at the same time, there's a higher danger that's forcing these kids to get together. And I don't necessarily think that we're still going to see them all be fine by the end of the season. Like, they're not all going to be good. I think the system is too powerful still. There's too much control that someone's going to slip up. And I'm kind of afraid it's going to be Emma, like the little cricket. Like, I'm a little afraid they're going to do that to her. And because I love her so much, I love her character, but at the same time, she would be, in some ways for me, the clear example of, like, they can get anybody. Like, the whole time when she first gets into school, she just wants to be famous. She wants to be a top hero. And she finds this person who accepts her for who she is. She finds friends who accept her for who she is. But at the same time, this system, like, she's never going to be the most powerful. So if they're like, hey, we'll give you a hit show on VOT Network, I don't know if she can kind of go away from that, and especially what her mom wants to. So yeah, I think that while they look tight now and they have a reason to stay tight, I don't know if VOT or the school is going to let that happen, which is crazy. I don't know, it's just so good, so well written.
On a side note, my wife has been watching this show called The Power. Are you familiar?
Did you like that? Yeah, it's also on Amazon.
Yeah, I think she does like it. She has been watching it. There's a lot of, I think, parallels between Gen V, this show, and like Handmaid's Tale. So if you're into any of those things, The Power might be something to check into. But also, what Frank had said earlier, teens really suck, and this is kind of The Power is like teens getting powers, and they don't know how to control it because they're fucking teens. Like, ugh.
Yeah,
I'll check it out. I'm a Handmaid's Tale fan too, by the way. So
there you go. Dang.
I'm on board. Yeah.
Well, I hope you like it more than me. I got 2 episodes in, and I was like,
yuck.
Nah, this ain't it.
Yeah.
This ain't it. Because, for a show called Power or Powers, like, you don't see a lot of them.
Nope.
So that was it's a turnoff for me.
Unless it's a power to not control your emotions. Burn.
Zinger. Yeah, that's Drake's take.
Hey-o! Moving on.
Yeah. But yeah, I really like this episode. I don't know. I think we get is the boys normally 8 episodes or 10? I don't remember. I think it's normally somewhere in there. We're past the midpoint now, so we're getting 2 to 4 more episodes. And I don't know where this ends. I think what we saw with this cure, I think this goes out. It gets to VOT. And I don't know what that looks like, but I know that this show directly turns or like passes on to The Boys season 3. So talk about like crazy interconnected universes going on with all these different properties, Star Wars, Marvel, but I like what The Boys are doing with it too. And yeah, this episode I thought was really, really well done for just exploring these characters.
I hope I get a look back. I want like The Boys to have to break into the school to get that cure. Like that would be neat. Like actually intertwine them a little bit better, other than just being like, oh yeah, you hear what happened at that school? That's kind of lame.
I think it's gonna happen. I definitely think the kids are gonna. I wouldn't be surprised if this happens in the last episode, where the kids are on the run. Whoever the good kids that we're following left, it's gonna be Marie and like maybe somebody else. But I wouldn't be surprised they run into Huey at the end, or they run into Butcher. Like
that would be awesome.
Yeah, I would not be surprised that happens at all.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Just thinking now.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe.
Like this whole time, I'm just sorry, real quick. The whole time you're rooting for Marie and you're like, oh, this is all going to go well. They come across Homelander, and knowing him, he just nukes them immediately. And like I just fell in love with those characters. I thought they were safe. And then like, you know how Homelander's like cut down everybody? That would just be such a fun way to end it.
They do the Game of Thrones dragon fire episode with the green fire where everything just explodes.
Yeah.
Everything dies. And you're like, holy shit.
So
guess I should stop caring about that. Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I'll never get over it. I'm still not over it. Still sad about it.
Yep.
All right, moving into the last thing, we got Loki episode 3. Drake, were you able to watch this one?
I wasn't able to watch this one.
Okay.
And done. Here we go.
All right, well, thanks
Power.
everybody. Have a good night. No,
All right,
I'm just
great.
kidding. Scott, Frank, take it away on this one.
I might have unpopular opinion on this episode.
Oh,
Ooh, I like
It's
it.
spicy.
Hot take. Let's go.
burritos.
Start with it. Okay, so I think overall, like, there's just certain things I don't like about it. Overall, I like the show. They had a lot of cool moments in this episode. I don't like when shows establish like certain episodes. Loki's like, this is the type of power he has, and everything that happens in the episode makes sense because this is where we're explaining it and writing in the way where everything makes sense. In this episode, like, we know what kind of power Loki has, but he refuses to use it. Like, he's running and chasing people instead of just using his... Like, he uses his magic at one point, and then he doesn't use it later when he could clearly do it to shorten some of these scenes up. And those are the inconsistencies. I'm like, that's kind of like poor writing, I guess. I don't know. It just kind of bothers me. In the same way, like, I get Flash the show, and I like Flash the show. Every time he's going to stop 100 feet in front of the guy and go, you better give it up. When he could just, like, run and slap the guy and throw cuffs on him.
You're going to get away from me?
Yeah.
And he's like,
and, like,
so...
I know this. I'm a big fan of the Flash, but they set that up in the show so every time he confronts him, it's going to be far away, gives him a chance to get away. That's, like, an understanding, right? But it's like it's like if the episode right before the Flash just, like, beats everyone up instantly, and then the episode right after he's like, I'm giving you a shot. You're like, why? You were just beating his ass earlier.
Yeah.
Like, Loki kind of did this in this episode. I'm like, why don't you just do Loki cool things and like
Superman always does that too.
Yeah.
The tagline for Superman is "How strong is Superman? He's just strong enough." So in one issue he'll be like lifting an airplane, and the next issue he's struggling with a boulder, and you're like, "You just lifted a 747 yesterday. What the hell's happening with you?" And with like Loki, it's like, well, if it's Sylvie, I could go toe to toe, full wizard magic, and then all of a sudden it's like I'm fighting Timely, who's confused, and it's like, you can't just bust out a lot of green magic on this dude and lock him down. What's the deal?
Like, you literally
Renslayer should be
teleported a
easy
dude
for you.
Yeah, you teleported a dude in a cage outside just to flex on him, and then you like can't catch this guy who doesn't have powers yet. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't even know who he is. He's like,
And he
get
always
out of
would.
here.
He'd always like duke back and forth with his brother Thor, like all this stuff like that. It's like, yeah, I used to play with Thor growing up. It's like, show us, you haven't yet.
Yeah, that's so funny. I really didn't see it that way, and like not to
wish
just
I
like
didn't.
poo-poo your idea. I just didn't.
Sorry.
I didn't catch that, but you're right. Like I guess he was having a hard time catching Victor Timely after the presentation, right? So is that the part you're talking about?
Yeah, like that whole thing. Like, why? Like, he's like in there, and then even with the whole, like, if they can like kind of teleport away and stuff, like, why doesn't he just like, they're on the elevator and he's like, Sylvie, don't kill him, and then like they're all there, and then it lines up right where it's like the door's gonna open, he's gonna run away, like, it's these sort of things where you're like,
It's like too convenient.
yeah, it's like a cartoon, like a Saturday morning cartoon I'm watching, like, like, and if the show had that tone, I'd be fine with it. I think the thing that I get upset with is like, sometimes the writing's so good and clean, you're like, everything makes sense. Like, there's no way he would have been able to do that because this happened, this happened, this happened. And in this one, I'm like, there's a lot of holes in this. And like, we're okay with that.
Yeah, that being said, Scott, like, there are a lot of holes, but that's the thing that's about the show, right? We're seeing this cool time period, like everything looks so neat in this world. Everybody's costumes look on point. So sometimes you forget about those loopholes that are happening. And it's like the understanding that, hey, while he's in the TVA, Loki's useless. He can't use the powers. But it's like, then I want to make sure to see the extreme on the other side. And we got that the week before when he did the whole like shadow move, like shadow this guy up. You just did that again. And so when we're outside of the TVA, we want to see Loki going full ham. And we see it out of Sylvie. Like, Sylvie just happens to like blades a lot. But nevertheless, which, I mean, so does Loki, matter of fact. But let's see, him kind of exert himself, and when he's like standing side by side with Mobius, I love those moments of their conversation, don't get me wrong, but when they're just like looking at the statues and talking, I'm like, this is definitely not the Loki that just got done messing up all of New York. It's a little bit hard to, it's disbelief a little bit.
And there's a specific scene too where Mobius is like, oh, they're here, or I'm not Mobius, Timely, right? He's at his like little hideout, and then they're at the front door. nowhere else. And he's like, let me jump out this window that, obviously everyone knows about. He jumps out the window, and then Loki, then they're running down the alley like, oh, where did he go? I don't even know. And I'm like, what? Like, they're chasing down an alley? You're a god.
They were on a tandem bike. They couldn't make tight turns, okay? It was him and Mobius on a tandem bike.
Dude,
they
that tandem bike made me laugh and I was angry at the same time. I was like, it made me laugh. And I'm like, no. But
okay, well let's
such a good call out on that though.
Yeah, but let's go on Mobius and Loki's relationship in this one though, because it continues to be one of my favorite bro friendships out there, and I think they still continue to do a good job with it in this one. They're so fun together. And that part in particular where he calls it out, where it's Thor, Odin, and Balder all in statues. I mean, he's like, Balder? Who even knows about Balder? Like, I love it because it was kind of twofold, right? Like, he does have a brother named Balder the Brave, I think in mythology, but also in the comics. And at the same time, we were supposed to get Balder the Brave in Multiverse of Madness, but Daniel Craig, for whatever reason, wasn't able to be in it. Yeah, so I love that they're giving these callouts to old Loki. Also, we have to remember that in the TVA too, we don't really know the time frame. Like the time works differently there. So he could have been adapting or changing into this new Loki. For us, it could have felt like weeks watching, but in there it could have been years or whatever. Like they don't really say, and then we don't really know. So I guess that's another part to it too, where kind of I'm okay with him changing as much as he did, especially what episode 5 from the first season showed us, and also episode 1 in the first season, where he sees himself fail over and over and over again. From Battle of New York and Thanos and like all these things he keeps losing, his mother die. So I don't know, I feel like it would make sense that he's not the same Loki, but I can't really explain why he's so depowered in this. I can't really explain why he's
but you're right, and I think that's why Sylvie's important. Like, you're so right, right? We've had these pivotal events in his quick life here with the TVA that has changed him, and Sylvie hasn't. But we're seeing Sylvie get those moments at different times. Like this last episode when she's like, "I've stabbed you 100 million times, whatever in my imaginations. I'm not going to stab you now." Shows that's her event moment now, where she's just evolved up a little bit. So we're seeing them evolve separately. Yeah, exactly. So it's totally fair, like what you're saying. It visually, or as an MCU fan, you just want to see Loki unleashed, right? So what we need Loki in the Avengers again, type of thing. But and we're getting that. But I think just it's hard as a viewer to kind of catch that all the time. We have to remember that Sylvie's kind of representing the real Loki in this situation. I do want to call out that moment again where they're joking about the statues, and I think that was specifically for the audience too, with the tongue-in-cheek understanding of because Mobius says, "Oh, I forget that you're one of them sometimes," and I think that's for the audience to understand. I forget that you're Loki. I forget that you're not just a member of the TVA anymore. You used to be a god, and so I think that was a shout out for the rest of us that were like, "Yeah," But
right,
we're watching a different show at this point,
Yeah, exactly. This character has gone down a different path or different timeline, right? And I loved it. I think that was fantastic. I thought that was really well done. The setting of it all was really freaking cool too. We talked about the World Fair is always such an interesting thing, a part in history, and gathering all these different inventors and inventions and things from around the world. It was I really liked what they did with the setting and just that world and the costuming. And then, we get to Victor Timely. But I don't know. You guys' thoughts on setting as a whole?
Gorgeous. I mean, it was so creative, and it's something that I think is used enough. Mobius shouts out some of the era things, Edison, H.H. Holmes, which is interesting that he shouted out H.H. Holmes, which is a serial killer, and a really good one, or interesting one. Not good one.
I mean, it's a great one.
One of the best.
The best.
Don't visit his house. I'll just say that much. But it was pretty cool to hear all these things. And then I was like, oh shit, I bet Timely is seen as Tesla in this time. And I think that's what's going to happen, because in the comic story, he creates a town named Timely that he gives free electricity to, and it reminds me very much of Christopher Nolan's Prestige when Tesla gives free power in Colorado. So I'm like, oh man, how cool would it be if we go there and we see he's basically, we see Tesla coil stuff everywhere. That would be a really cool character for Timely to become.
Yeah, that was kind of the promise, right? I mean, at this time, Tesla might have even been at one of these fairs. I think it was called like the Current Battles or something, or the Current War, where it was Tesla versus
Edison, AC versus
oh,
DC.
that's right. Yep, AC versus DC, exactly. So I think maybe he had seen it at that point, but he even says when he's doing the presentation, which I think we need to talk about that after this, is, he says, I'm going to be able to not only power, a light bulb, but I'm going to be able to power the town and then the world, I think he says. So that whole idea of like using time as a power source too was a really cool concept. The introduction of Victor Timely, we get the scene from the post-credit scene of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and now we kind of get to see it in all of its glory. What did you guys think about that scene? Because at first it took me, I was a little thrown off by it, but then when I watched it for the second time, I was like, damn, this is a hell of a performance.
Yeah. At first I was like, oh, this is an interesting choice. The way he's like deciding to be this character. It's not like when I first saw him, it's not the way I thought he was going to do it, but I do agree. I liked it. I liked his Timely character. And then as it evolves, I'm like, it is funny that he is a genius. Because at first I'm like, oh, he's a genius. And then I'm like, oh, he's a swindler. And I'm like, no, he's a genius that just doesn't have technology to make the things he wants to make. So he's selling, but he's got to make a living. So I'm like, I get it. But I really
does this make you guys more confused though? Between, is he a genius, like a super genius, who can control all these things in time because of technology, or is he a con man? I'm like more confused as to what, like, is Timely going to become Kang? Is he not? I think it confused me more that he ends up being more of a con man in this episode, yet he has a prototype for the time chair.
Yeah, I think he is intelligent though. I think he learned to get by conning. And he can, like, I think he explained it in that thing where he's like, there's nothing around here that can make the things I need or want to make. So he but he probably, like, growing up the way he did, knows how to, like, put on a good show and, like, upsell things. So he's like, just make it kind of work, get some money, and then maybe it'll fund me to get, I don't know. But it seems like his inventions are, like, way in the future. Maybe he should kind of make some stuff. I agree in that sense. Like, maybe he should kind of make some stuff that do work in this time period as well. But I don't know. I feel like he is still intelligent.
Yeah. I don't know if the refrigerator chair cuts it. That's why.
I'll take one of those, by the way. That was dope. When I'm playing Spider-Man, I could use that.
Yeah, I'm not saying I don't want it, but I'm just saying I don't know if that counts. Yeah.
Charlie from Emergency also brought up a really good point. The fact that we're introduced to this young Victor Timely when he's a kid and he's reading is very different for this time period. Like, it's late 1800s. Kids didn't read. Most of people didn't read. So the fact that he knew how to read was showing already that he was advanced. And then what I really appreciated about this character, and I'm just leaning on the Prestige because it's one of the best movies ever made, but also at this time, the book that he gets has a bunch of nearly whimsical devices in it. And so when he mimics them to try to make them himself, if you were to, like, I forget who says it, but like, if you see advanced enough technology, it looks like magic. And I think that's the thing, is he's not impersonating necessarily inventors, just like inventors didn't at the time, or like a professor. He's not impersonating them. He's impersonating magicians. And just like how he's conning these guys with their ideas, it's a magician and the illusions. And so I think like he's like fake it till you make it. Like, he's putting on a show because he has to, and he's missing a couple of the in-between steps, but he knows that, like, this is point A, this is point B. I got to figure out, or this is point C. I got to figure out where B's at in there. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's I think they try to make him a magician.
True entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I wish they wrote your version of this episode, Frank. Is that that sounds better? It was too confusing.
I do like
for
that
me.
explanation. You still have to be pretty intelligent though to get a book and he had be able to read it, like you said, and then be able to kind of decipher what it's even about. Mm-hmm. Like you said, like, if you got a book from the future and it was like just filled with like technology you don't even know, like if I'm not one to like dabble in that or even know how to even attempt it, I'm like, this is gibberish.
I mean, like, looking through my car's manual sometimes, I'm like, this is gibberish. And that's
like
now.
You can get a book and be like, technology. All the answers are in here, but I don't know what to do with it.
They're even numbered. It's like 1 this, 2 this, and I'm like, I don't know.
It's one of my favorite time travel things. If you go back in time with your cell phone thinking you're going to be a god, and then you're like, here's a cell phone, let's invent it. And you're like, oh shit, I don't know how it works actually. I just know how to go to the Twitter. Like
that's
you
what,
can't take it
Imagine
apart. And
you
put it
brought a
together
battery
again.
back.
Yeah.
Like explain a
Yeah.
battery, like a
Like,
Duracell battery.
you know what? Actually, it is magic. I don't know, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, was that
exactly.
Nate Bargatze? Is that what you said?
Wait, what?
Oh, Nate
What?
Bargatze has a bit on that. I don't know if you mentioned, but he
Oh,
talks
yeah.
about that. He's like, oh, if I went in the past, he's like, he'd start with that, like, hey, you know, in the future they're gonna have these things. And I'm like, what is that? He's like, I don't know. And he's like, and he says something else like, what is that? He's like, I don't really know. He's like, you know, I think I'd probably end up just getting a job. Like, I don't really know how to do stuff. He just lived there in that time period.
Yeah.
I can't explain things. Like, it's just that's most people, I think.
Yeah, definitely me.
I know exactly.
Same
Yeah, I mean, all of that's so true. I think the first Thor they talk about it, right? Like in your world you call it science, but in my world we call it magic, and it's like technology's so advanced, we can't really explain it. And I think I like that concept. I wish they kind of brought that more to Thor. Like it would have been cool if Loki was like, "Oh, I thought I heard Thor say that once," or something like that. Would have made it kind of all a little bit more cohesive. I am really liking the show, though. I feel like the story is really kind of going somewhere now. I guess my thought is, so I would assume, Frank, for you, this version, Victor Timely, is actually going to become Kang. And will he become the Kang that we saw in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, or is this a different version we haven't seen yet?
Okay, so the Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, who knows the hell he lost to Ant-Man. I mean, he's not a real Kang.
That was
yeah,
terrible.
He's pretending.
Terrible
That's
choice.
probably Timely.
Outta
So I think I think if they didn't drop the book off, this would become the man, the He Who Remains. I remembered it once.
Nice.
Because when we see them jump around in time, it says the sacred timeline. But then when we go back into the future a little bit, when we're actually at the World's Fair, it says it's a branch. So dropping the book off messed everything up. So this
Yeah, that
can't
branched the
be.
timeline.
This could either be Conqueror King or King the Conqueror, I mean. But it can't be He Who Remains because that's back on the sacred timeline. So we know it's not going to become him. It's got to be somebody new.
But again, I mean, we've talked about it before. I think like he could technically make this branch timeline the new sacred timeline, right? Like if
That's
he
true.
ends
That's
up,
the whole point of that device. Yeah.
right? Like which is ridiculous. He's such an interesting villain, and I don't, for a multitude of reasons, like I don't know if this was the right choice or. I'm loving the show, and I'm loving Jonathan Major's
me too.
performance. And like, who knows what's gonna happen to him, if he's gonna be convicted or not, or whatever. But
We'll know tomorrow, actually. Funny enough,
Really?
the 25th, his trial starts. Yep. So we'll
25th.
have evidence
Oh.
tomorrow.
Evidence will. Oh damn. Well, we'll have. Yeah. Okay. Well, I might
See
take
who
it back.
remains,
I'll,
huh?
Yeah. I should just make a claim one way or the other, so I can either be correct or wrong
So you can
tomorrow.
edit around it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll edit around it. Didn't say any
Yeah,
of that.
make
or I
both
said all of
claims,
it.
and then we'll keep the one that's
We'll
right.
just
Yeah,
hope
yeah.
it's not a Masterson verdict.
Oh
We'll soon find
yeah.
out.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully, I don't. Masterson did some bad shit, man. That was. Yeah. He deserved it. He deserved that. But yeah. Okay. We'll find out. I think that Kang is so interesting because it is naturally complex and it is naturally
Yeah.
confusing. When you mess around with timelines, when you mess around with, we've already established that there's no closed loop theory. We've only seen one now work in the TVA, which is confusing in its own right. But which Kang or Victor Timely or whatever are we getting, and who should we actually be afraid of? Because this one, he felt very sympathetic. He didn't seem like the person we should truly fear. I don't know. What are your thoughts on the version that we got in this, Scott, and what we might be seeing in Kang Dynasty or in Secret Wars?
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, so when they first announced like Kang, and then once you jump in now, like there's all these different versions of Kang. I was like, Marvel pretty much can give us a bunch of Kangs until they want to give us the one that's the one. You know what I mean? So like this
Right.
could either just be like a one that's important, or just like a multiverse sort of thing. Like there's no stakes in them. So I really don't know. Marvel's, I mean, with the whole multiverse thing and how they've given us movies that have felt like the stakes weren't there. Like, given that they've done that, like this could very well. They could do it a couple times. So I don't really know if this one's even important. But I hope he is. Like I'd like them to just get on like a strong
Yeah,
story
we need
or
one
something.
Kang to start fearing.
Yeah.
We could have many Kangs, but they need to all die. That's the whole point of Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah.
He conquers the other Kang. Like
Mm.
the multiverse. That's the thing that I think is kind of confusing too. Is like in the MCU, there's literally a multiverse, and then there's multiple timelines. Like they actually are kind of not like, um, uh, Doctor Strange's multiverse stuff isn't quite the same thing as like there's branches. I think,
Yeah,
and
it's been
so
different.
yeah, and in the comic books, the idea is that Kang is using Kang from different timelines. So yeah, timely is different than the year 3000 Kang, but they could work together to screw over Iron Man.
Mhm.
And we don't have that. We have something so radical and out of place that's hard to keep track of. So I'm hoping that what Marvel needs, what MCU needs, is to pick a Kang or Renslayer. That's my theory from over at Challenge Accepted, and just make that the main villain for the future. And we need to see that person kill a bunch of people. Specifically, we need to see them kill a bunch of other Kangs, so that we
Yeah.
see, because He Who Remains warned us: if you kill me, there will be more. And so we need, and the idea is that the Kangs battle it out so that the most dangerous, supreme, intelligent, the Rickest Rick rises to the top, and we need to
Right.
see who that is going to be. And that,
Yeah.
and they need to trail us that like they did with Thanos for the other
They
ones.
need to gently
Yes.
the one it, like
Yes,
where
exactly.
he's
I
going
wanna
through
see-
different
Yes.
universe, just killing
Yeah, it's a good movie.
himself, so he could get more and more powerful. Which, yeah, I'm all on board with that. And if it is Renslayer, that'd be tight. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
again all for it. I think Marvel is probably deciding tomorrow too if,
Yeah,
if Jonathan Majors is going to be Kang or not.
There might be literally two different versions at the end of this show,
Yeah.
depending on which one will air out.
I
Boy,
mean-
I put that out as a suggestion, by the way, on social media. I'm like, because okay, so at the end of this thing, we see that Renslayer and Miss Minutes is tossed into the future. There's a large amount of decay on He Who Remains. That doesn't make sense because time doesn't really exist at that point. So why does it? So then I threw out the idea like, this is probably how they're going to recast Majors, because it's easy. He's got a bunch of makeup on right now. And if you want to do that, and there's this big secret that they're clearly heavy-handed with. So could the big secret be that Renslayer is actually a Kang variant? We know in the comic books that's not the case. She's actually basically his wife.
Right.
So like, is this an
Love
option? I
interest.
threw that out on social media, and oh my god, did the bros come out and come at me like,
They were pissed.
he's innocent? I'm like, hold on, guys, it's just an option. I didn't say like this is for sure happening.
Right,
But
right.
so Marvel's got some issues if they're going to try to pull that off. We'll see.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Plus, in that was the Ant-Man Quantumania, when they showed all the Kangs, they made them all look like Jonathan Majors. And, like that was another thing where I'm like, why'd you do that? You didn't even need to do that.
Exactly. Yep, they
They
should
went
have.
all in on that dude.
Yeah, because they were very clear to
He is
show
awesome.
that Loki
I mean,
has.
He is
acting-wise.
Yeah,
acting-wise.
as an actor for
Yeah,
sure.
let's clear that up. Acting
let's
is great.
yeah, we'll take away the art from the artist, right? I mean, he's a
Right.
incredible actor.
Of course.
But we've seen that they did it with Loki. That Loki had a bunch of different variants. He had a crocodile variant. Like, why didn't they make them all
That
look
was
like a bunch
awesome.
of different Kangs? Like
exactly.
that. Yeah, they really pigeonholed themselves on that idea. That was not smart. I don't know. I feel like they should have just done Secret Invasion as just one, like as an event. Like that should have capped off a phase. Or like a couple of phases. Like I think that would have even been better than what we've been
Is it
getting.
a big enough
and-
threat though is the problem. Like Thanos was a huge threat. Like he literally deleted half the world for 5 years. It needs to be
Sure.
that big of an event, which I think the idea of like, hey, I'm going to smash all realities together, which is we know is what happens at the end of this whole thing, Secret Wars. And also I think we kind of need it for the MCU. Just like you're reading that book right now. You know what I'm talking about. There's so many scattered Marvel properties in the 90s. It would be really nice if they were all in one clean timeline. And then we saw like Tobey Maguire led Avengers with, Hugh Jackman and that Fantastic Four all die saving us.
Hey, you forgot
But
about
then
Ben
it's like they
Affleck's
have
Daredevil.
Ben Affleck Daredevil dies first. Let's admit that right away. And Elektra's like, oh no, and then she offs herself to Romeo and Juliet style. But yeah, like I think that would be a really good way. Like they all die heroically so that a new Avengers can arise, or that's more main or MCU
Yeah.
straightforward, and then maybe we could even get a new Iron Man, stuff like that out of it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fully on board that this resets after Secret Wars. It resets the universe, and we can recast and starts a new trilogy. I bet they take off a few years. I bet they take off like 2-3 years, like Star Wars did before. That we got like the sequel trilogies and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
man, I hope so. I hope they pull this off. I'm really enjoying the show, and it's funny when I talk to you, Scott. Like I didn't look at all the little inconsistencies in this episode. Like it didn't hit me that hard till I was like hearing it from you. I'm just like really enjoying these actors put on a clinic. Because the way they're driving their characters, even if the story beats don't always make a ton of sense, like it's really entertaining. Like they're just doing some really wacky and wild stuff, and it's just all in this world that they've created now. I'm just loving that part of it.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. It wasn't until because I enjoyed the whole episode, and then it ended, and then I'm watching it with Christine, and then I'm like,
And then you did what
then
you
I
do.
think back, I rerun it in my head, like all of it. I'm like, I don't know about this one part, and then of course it all starts unraveling. I'm like, then why is he? Blah, 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 blah. But overall, I know it sounds like I trash things. That's just me processing things.
Why are you such a hater, bro? Always hating on stuff.
Sucks. No.
Well, I gotta throw this out there as
mid now.
when you're a podcaster whose semi job is to review things, you start to think differently, and it really screws you up from enjoying a lot of shit. So I totally this I think, by the way, I think Loki, the key with it is it's so well executed in almost every single way that when it slips somewhere, you're like, yeah, but I mean, man, look at that city, look at that cool magic effects. Like it's hard to,
the technology.
Yeah.
But then I noticed, for example, that scene where they're chasing down Timely, and you're like, why are you not using magic abilities? I also remember thinking, man, that camera shot's tight. That's cool how they went through the city with them. Like, that's neat. Yeah. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, as a reviewer, you're catching things more than I think the normal audience would. And it's that's just part of the gig, unfortunately.
You got different brains going, right? There's my judgy, disappointed one, and then my little kid going, this is so fucking cool. Can you believe we got Loki?
Fireworks are neat.
See, I'm all little kid. That's all I see. I'm like, this is sick. Give me some green magic. Give me some swords. Give me a talking clock.
Like, Christina, more apple juice.
Grape juice. All right.
I'll play Spider-Man till 2.
Don't tell her. Come on. All right, well,
she already saw that save file. You're screwed.
Yeah. All right. Fine. Fair enough. Another great week. Well, really enjoyed everything that's come out. Again, as soon as it shuts down, I'm probably gonna go play Spider-Man. But yeah, if you guys have any other thoughts, recommendations, anything for the rest of the week?
Check out that MCU book. I know you guys talked about it last week, but for real, the audiobook's what I'm listening to now, and very well done. It's a must read, watch, listen, anything you got. It's really good.
You like the audiobook? It's a good listen?
It is a good listen. The narrator's pretty good, but I think the best part about the narrator is randomly when he says Stanley, oh shit, So when your name is dropped, it drops I think harder in audio form than it does in reading form. So that's kind of cool.
I'll check that out for sure.
Yeah, it does for me for sure. Yep.
Well, just go out there, check out Loki, guys. It's a great show. I love it. I read the show as well.
Live, laugh, love, everybody.
Okay.
And Colorado.
Yeah.
Okay, so
on my mom's wall.
Yeah. Just get some shiplap and put it up there, and live your best life.
Joanna Gaines coming through.
Yeah.
Let's go. Fix her up.
Stainless steel.
Did you have an actual recommendation? You look like you were gonna say one, and then you were just like, I don't know, something else.
Me or Drake?
No, Drake.
Who, me? Oh, no, I just when you're doing the things, just do your best to enjoy the moments, man. These little moments. Time is short. Life is short. It's beautiful. So just enjoy it. Enjoy it.
All that on
one for Drake. Watch Orville. That one's on Drake's behalf.
Watch Orville. If you haven't watched fucking Orville, are they gonna do another season of Orville? Or
Hashtag save Orville. Why the hell does it Disney? Oh boy, don't get me started. Yeah. Oh my god.
Hashtag save Orville. That show needs to continue. Seth MacFarlane, come on.
It's a good show. I don't know why they're
Seth's trying. Disney's one screwing him over.
Disney
fucking They don't want to because they forked out so much more money for that final season. You know how that last season was
so good, so good.
And they're like, "Ooh, that shit's expensive." Yeah, no duh, but look what you got.
Dude.
Yeah, good.
Disney can't even fork over the money. What's going on?
Thomas, you better wrap this up. We're gonna keep going for another hour.
All right. Hey, Frank, do you want to say thanks for sticking it with us?
Or maybe we should say with us, folks. Thanks for freaking it with us, because the Geek Freaks is also with us.
I'm adding that to the notes.
Yeah, duh.
Thanks for freaking out with us.
There you go.
Ooh, sexy.
All right, hello everybody.
The Joystick Show.